Toronto, I got to get something off my chest. See, normally I would start by talking about some legal comedy, because of course, I am a lawyer. But something's really been chafing my mind whole. It's traipsing mud all through the carpets of my mind palace. And so I believe that comedy has to come from a den of truth. So before I get to my usual scheduled programming, bear with me while I be brave. Just like the time I thought I should eat that sushi before I fly to Toronto at 7:20 in the morning. I hate Timothy Chalamet so much. His face looks so soft. And he is everywhere. You can't escape him. This week on Saturday Night Live, he's the host and the musical guest. I didn't even know he sang. But he's both. Well, I mean, he is goddamn Bob Dylan now, so it kind of makes sense. But this is not a soft hate Toronto. This is not a, that guy kind of hate. This is my partner has to ask me how I'm doing because we're watching Little Women and I can't stop going, kind of hate. And I'm not a hateful person. I drive in Halifax. I've seen hate. But it's just, he's everywhere. He's giving smoldering looks in Dune. He's giving smoldering looks in Call Me By Your Name. God damn it, he's giving smoldering looks in Wonka. Wonka! Is nothing sacred? Oompa, loompa, doop, grow a mustache. I think what it is it's ennui. It's ennui about what he represents. We used to have paragons as our heroes. Burt Reynolds' mustache has killed 18 people. Tom Selleck's chest hair saved our ass in Vietnam. If anything ever happens to Harrison Ford, we're done. It's over. We're done. But now our hero is somebody with 2 E's at the end of his name. I don't want a superfluous E. I want Samuel L. Jackson. Okay, he was great in Little Women. Like, fair is fair, he was, but thank you for letting me get off that chest, because you would have known the whole time while I was talking the law, you would have been like, something ain't right. I view it as a story. But as you can see, obviously I am a lawyer, licensed to practice law somehow. I often like to tell stories to try and dispel the way that society sees lawyers, because people think it's all Harvey Specters and free pens, but it's more than that. So I thought about some stories I could tell, like the time after a firm Christmas party, my partner and I went out on a date and my boss came with us. Like, you'd think he'd leave a courtesy seat or two in between. He did not. He didn't. And he fell asleep immediately, and he's a snorer. So I thought I could talk about that, or I thought I could talk about how a local barbershop in Halifax put my direct line as their line. And for a week, I kept getting calls from people saying, hey, can I get my kid a fade? I was this close to doing it and billing them. You gotta get your billable somehow, people. You gotta. But I thought about it, and I think the best way that I can show to you how wacky the law is actually to let the law speak for itself. Because nothing is funnier or stranger than what the law does. So I did some research, and I will give you sources if you find me afterwards and go, hey, bearded man, sing me a song. I will. So the first sort of nugget I want to drop on y'all is a case called Nikolaev and Fredorikov. It's a tale as old as time. Man and woman get together, man and woman break up, but man and woman cannot agree on who gets what. So naturally, they ask the judge for help with who gets what, but one item in the decision really stuck out to me. Nikolaev and Fredorikov could not agree on how to divvy up $34 in Canadian Tire money. They couldn't crack that chestnut on their own, so Justice Myers had to, weigh in. And I don't know Justice Myers. If he's in the audience tonight, I am sorry. This is how I like to picture it happening. I like to picture Justice Myers in his bed. He sees it snowy out. He wakes up. He puts on his judge pants. And he looks over at his wife, Eloise, in bed and says, "Eloise, I have to go." And Eloise says, "Justice Myers, think of the children." And Justice Myers goes, "If I don't split these $34 for these two, who will?" And naturally, he told them, each of them, they could have half. Seems like a great use of everyone's time. Another fun little one I found in my travels was a bylaw from the great city of Fredericton. Woo! And it makes sense when you think about it, but it raises some questions for me. The bylaw says that you cannot have a loose snake or reptile in the city of Fredericton. I mean, it makes sense. If you're tooling around on Regent Street and you see Bob with a great boa python, that's going to be concerning. You'll at least have some questions. But I want to know, what was the impetus for that law? Was there a great snake release that I didn't know about? How is there not a Canada Heritage Minute about that? Speaking of Canada Heritage Minutes, you may know this next one, because I do think there is a Canada Heritage Minute about this. It's called the Persons Case. And the Persons Case is a fun little ditty from the year of our Lord 1929, way back when an intrepid group of 5 women were like, you know what? We want to be senators. We want to hold public office. Shouldn't be controversial, right? Makes sense, right? Wrong. Wrong. So naturally, they go to the Supreme Court of Canada and they're like, hey, can we be people? I really want to tell you that the Supreme Court of Canada said yes. But I promised you at the start that comedy has to come from a den of truths. And the Supreme Court of Canada said, they're people, but they're not senator people. And so I'm going to say a sentence I never thought I'd say. Thank God for the Judicial Committee, Privy Council bastards in Britain, because back then you could appeal from the Supreme Court of Canada to this fun group of ragamuffins across the pond. And those ragamuffins, Viscount Sankey and the boys, they saddle on up and they say, right, women are people. I don't know what else to say in this decision. And I mean, so thank God for those old British bastards. And people got out of bed and wrote letters on this. They crossed an ocean to argue this. I know it was 1929, but come on, do better. There's one last thing that I gotta say before I go. I found a case called, and maybe the family lawyers here know it, it was new to me. It's called Bruni and Bruni. And it is a family law case so toxic, I had to shower thrice after reading it. And so, it's a tale as old as time. Man gets with woman, they break up. Woman gets with man's best friend and best man at their wedding, and then move a kilometer away. I know it's a rough housing market, but come on. And Bruni and Bruni has everything, everything. It has Hell's Angels, it has death threats. It has so many middle fingers that I stopped counting. But I think the best way to kind of let you dip your toes in the water of Justice Quinn's decision is to actually read some of his own words, because they're so much funnier than anything I could ever think of in 1,000 years. And so, again, if Justice Quinn is here, I'm so sorry. I swear I'm a competent lawyer. So these are direct quotes from Justice Quinn in Bruni and Bruni. Paging Dr. Freud, paging Dr. Freud. In my head, he's a little Orson Wellesy. Like, that's my Justice Quinn in my head canon. The source of the difficulties is hatred. A hardened, harmful, high-octane hatred. Larry and Catherine hate each other, as do Larry and Sam. This hatred has raged unabated since the date of separation. Consequently, the likelihood of an amicable resolution is laughable. Hatred devours reason. And a satisfactory legal solution is impossible. Hate has no legal remedy. Why doesn't hate have a legal remedy? I mean, I know it's unorthodox, but I want judges to opine more on taste. You should be able to get an order, like, call it Bastardo Maximo. Like that should be a thing. I should write a letter. Bob, let's write a letter. But there's a couple more here that are even better. At one point of the trial, I asked Catherine, if you could push a button and make Larry disappear from the face of the earth, would you do it? Her "I just won a lottery ticket" smile implied the answer I expected. This is a court case. People got paid to write this. Catherine and Larry were married on October 7, 1995. If only the wedding guests, who tinkled their wine glasses as encouragement for the traditional blessing of the bride and groom, could see the couple now. I am prepared to certify a class action for the return of all wedding gifts. I'm actually running that class action. Talk to me after. Like, we'll do an intake. And finally, Larry gave evidence that less than 1 month later, Catherine tried to run him over with a van. This is always a telltale sign that husband and wife are drifting apart. It had everything. And so let these stories show that, wait. I think I figured it out. I think I just really want to have sex with Timothy Chalamet. Good night.